Mother's Day today. Tell them Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. Tell Mom Happy Mother's Day. Mommy, Happy Mother's Day. Louder. Nobody can hear you. So anyway, well, I've been lucky to be chasing Mr. Carter around and trying to make sense of my own life. Just getting a sense of being me while raising an extra human being. There's a lot of things I could probably complain about, but the reality is that I have nothing to complain about. And I'm thankful. And this journey with Carter didn't come easy at all for us. But I actually want to talk about this notion of being a mother and what it truly means to be a mother. And not necessarily like being a mother, but the journey of being a mother. So we started our journey 5 years before Carter. It took us 5 years. Can you show them 5? Can you show 5? That's fast. There you go. 5 years. It took me 5 years from the time that we decided that we want to have a child to you actually being born. Just a sheer roller coaster. Like just a mental roller coaster that you go through during these 5 years. Okay, so that's some numbers here. So in North America, get this. 1 in 6 couples face fertility challenges. 1 in 6. Those numbers are staggering when you think about it. The average cost of an IVF cycle is about 10 to 20,000. And what's crazy about it is that you spend $10,000 to $20,000 on IVF, and you're not necessarily guaranteed to have a kid. So those are the numbers. Do you understand that? So this is IVF baby. No, you were an IVF baby. You're expensive. You understand? You're expensive, and you gotta pay back every penny. Every penny. You were born in debt. You understand? Yeah. You owe me big time. Yeah, you gotta pay for that. Yeah. That's why we gotta put you to work. Anyway, let's talk about IVF for a second, because it's one of those things that people don't really talk about. If you ask me, it's like a pandemic that nobody's talking about. If you're not in that world, or you've never been through that world, matter of fact, I don't know anybody that don't know somebody that's been through IVF. That's what's crazy. It's that common. Yet, like as a society, like we're not talking about these issues. They're buried, and I'm 100% guilty about this. Like we went through 5 years of ups and downs, craziness. I say we, more like Ashley. I was just there for moral support. I did a lot, but in comparison, it's like nothing. The thing that stood out to me the most was we went through, I'm almost certain 5 or 6 clinics. I don't remember now. It's so foggy in my brain because it was just a very stressful time across the board. So we went through the clinic. The first clinic that we went through was one of the more popular hospitals down in the city in Toronto. And I remember when they mentioned, it was like, oh, there's a government program that you can get funding for this. So I was like, oh, really? And they were like, yeah, you can get about $10,000 for your first IVF treatment. I'm like, what? No. They're like, yeah. And then they got me thinking about this fact that I was like, you do realize that the government is one of the slowest moving organizations on the face of the planet. Any government in any country. And the fact that they had a program that actually funds IVF treatment suggests that this has been a problem for a really long time. And that program already existed, right? So I am generally serious when I say that this is like a silent pandemic that nobody is really talking about. And the people that are going through it are the ones that are suffering. And then you get through it, and it's almost like you just forget about it and just move on with your life, right? Yeah, so it's 5 years of needles, being poked, frauded. Again, not me. Let's speak well. Actually, it was one funny moment I remember. It was like we were in the room where you do all the inspection, and she's sitting there, and I'm sitting in the corner, and on a chair. And I'm like, oh man, this chair is so uncomfortable. It wasn't my finest moment, I'll be honest with you. I was like, and she was like, really? This is the time that you... And it didn't even dawn on me. Like, it didn't even make a connection. Like I said, got nothing to complain about. For the people that don't even know what IVF is, it's literally sperm, egg, put together, put it in a lab, grow it to a certain level, put it back inside of you. That's the gist of it. The thing that struck me the most was that nobody really knew what they were doing. It was just all a bunch of guesswork that just felt. So we just kept going from doctors to doctors. We kept getting recommendations. We kept going to more premium doctors. And everybody has an idea on how this stuff works. Nobody really knows. And you can't, right? They know the science, they understand how this stuff works, but they don't really have an explanation. And I also want to be clear about the fact that it took us 5 years, and I know people that have been through this from 10. So, yeah, it's rough. And then they send you home with this package, a needle, and they're like, yeah, just take it, just stick it in her butt. The other thing that bothered me a lot about this entire process was the fact that when you went to these clinics, you'd sit in a room, sometimes 10 people, sometimes 15, sometimes 20. Just depends on the clinic and how big it is. Everybody's tired. Everybody's just exhausted because you're in there for early. Oh, wow. Good job, man. So you get there, it's super early. You're tired, you're exhausted. And everybody's just sitting there in silence because they're exhausted or tired, trying to think. But I'm like, we're all suffering here. We're all sitting in this room, suffering in silence. And nobody's talking. Nobody's sharing their experience, not even cracking an offer a joke, like nothing. It's just, we're just sitting there. It's, oh, you know what? What? We're in the middle of a conversation, an important conversation, and all you can think about is pee. Are you going to stand up and pee like a man?
What? Can pee?
Yeah, you stand up and pee. We don't do this sit down business. Sit down on the toilet. Okay, you don't sit down. Can you hold it?
Huh?
Can you hold it? No. Can you hold your pee? You don't even know. You don't even know.
Pee.
Yes. Okay. Now, here's what's scary about this entire process. The fact that you need to have money to have a baby. You can see how we can get to a world where it's essentially only the people that have the money. But if it wasn't for a support system around, like family, friends, we wouldn't be where we are today. But the fact that you have to have money in order to even very concerned. Yeah, the thing that struck me the most was the fact that we were just sitting in that room, and the irony was that we're killing ourselves so that we can have another life in the world. There's something just iffy about it. What am I doing? This is a serious conversation. But focus. Way too much cooking. Way too much. Yes. The point is that becoming a mother shouldn't be about navigating a broken system and just sacrificing your health. Oh, you're gonna fight later on. We'll fight later. Going into debt and sacrificing your health just so that you can have a child. Something wrong about that. And like I said, we don't talk about it enough. The other thing was the fact that just the commercialization of this industry was just so stuck. Can you sit down, please?
Yes.
The fact that there was, in any given time, let's call it 10, 15 people in a room, right? That day, morning, whatever. And we'd gone around to so many clinics now that we actually went to the US. We went to a conference and they were promoting. They were like, yeah, we will give you a baby or money back guarantee. Guarantee. So we've gotten to the point of commercialization where they're promising you a baby or you get a money back guarantee. That's how crazy it is. This is like a $25 billion industry on track to be something like $45 billion in the next couple of years. Like insane numbers. What stood out to me is the US clinics we went to. So I was like, okay, so based on our numbers and what we're paying, 10, 15, 20 people in a room, they had 200 clinics across North America. 200 or 250 or something like that. By now, probably 400 clinics. Yeah. Not to talk about the other side of this, which is, okay, there's the IVF part, but then you could also go online, and then you could like donor eggs and stuff like that. And you could pretty much think Tinder for moms, where you swipe, find the right characteristics to get a donor egg kind of situation. A multi-billion-dollar industry has been created off of this pandemic, and it's silent. Drug companies, everybody's aware of it, everybody's in on the action. The mothers are suffering in silence. And if you don't know, you just don't know what he talks about. Everybody keeps it as a secret. Because when we were through this, we basically talked to nobody. Nobody knew the suffering, the party, the PI, nothing. Anyway, on this Mother's Day, I just want to give a shout out to all the moms. For all the moms, for all the women that are still fighting to be moms, going through all their mental health struggles. For all the moms that basically gave up, trying to be a mom, there's still moms in their head. And for the moms that never started because the cost is just too high. I just want to give a shout out to all of you. Happy Mother's Day. Men will never know and appreciate the real struggle that women go through to be a mother. We think we know, but we don't have a clue. Can't even comprehend it as a fact.